Welcome to the Bear Rumble Podcast, your home for everything BHP football. Each week, we dive into the greatest games, preview what's coming next, and share the stories that make Belton Honeypath Bears football special. From legendary coaches to unforgettable moments, this is where Bear Nation comes together. This is the Bear Rumble Podcast.
Hey there, Bear fans. Welcome to the Bear Rumble Podcast. I'm your host, Kayne Evans, and we have a great episode lined up for you. In today's episode, we'll talk with BHP's wide receiver coach, Dalton McClain. We'll go over his journey and his background in coaching with the Bears. We'll also talk about this current group of BHP receivers and how special they are. We'll even ask Coach McClain his favorite wide receiver of all time. Later in the episode, we'll also preview this upcoming game as BHP takes on the Greer Yellow Jackets this Friday at home. So with that, let's jump on in with Coach McClain. We've got Coach Dalton McClain with us, wide receiver coach at BHP, alumni, and Coach got just talking with him, over a decade of experience already with this group. So welcome, Dalton. I'm so glad you're here. We're excited for you and excited to talk with you about the Bears.
Thanks, man. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. You guys do an unbelievable job getting our kids out and our program out, and just a pleasure to be here.
Well, that's all we do it for, is give those guys the credit and the acclimates that they might not get otherwise, because
yes, sir.
We know how it is being at BHP sometimes, maybe not all the press that some of the other teams get. So
yes, sir.
Well, with that, let's go ahead and jump in. I want to start with maybe a little background. I want to talk with you about, like I said, you've been on staff for a little over 10 years, graduated from BHP. What's it like coming back and wanting to get into that coaching profession, but also wanting to do it back where you graduated, where you grew up and all that sort of thing?
Well, for me, it was kind of weird that I got into coaching. I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I graduated high school. I was going to school. I was, doing some stuff. I was working on the side. I was kind of busy. And my brother was 8 years younger than me, and he was playing 1200 football. And so whatever, I'm just out there watching practice and whatever. They needed help. Like they needed, and it wasn't like I was I wasn't coaching then. I was just really out of high school. They just needed another body. So I was like, whatever, that sounds great. And I started coaching, and then I kind of, I obviously football, it is what it is, but I enjoyed my time being out there. Well, fast forward a couple of years, and I got the opportunity, just through networking the people that I know, I got the chance to coach for the Anderson Cavaliers, who at the time was an up-and-coming program, and they really did some stuff well. So I got the opportunity to go coach there for 2 seasons, and I still say that was some great memories. And by the grace of God, I'm coaching for the Cavs. I'm at a Clemson football clinic, getting ready for my season with them. Coach Black comes up and starts talking football to me, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. I haven't seen him since I graduated, and we got to talking football, kind of some nuances and stuff like that. And he just asked me, he said, would you be interested in coming to BHP? And I said, count me in. Like, what else is there to talk about?
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of got the opportunity there. And first year, I was volunteer coach for BHP. And luckily, after that, I was able to fully join staff, and the rest is history. I'm very blessed, because I don't know if I hadn't been coaching for the Cavs, I don't know that I would have been in the situation that I was in. Kind of right place, kind of right time deal. I kind of fell in my lap. He was able to get me a job with the district, kind of just laid my path out for me a little bit. And I give all the credit to, number one, Michael Cowser, the head coach of the Cavs at the time, because he believed in me. He didn't know me from Adam, and he gave me a chance to coach. And then Coach Blackson, he's been a blessing to me, and I can't say enough good things about him. And just gave me an opportunity, and I kind of, fruits of my labor, I kind of put in the work and, keep working, keep my nose down and try to learn as much as I can learn. And I still, to this day, learn as much as I can learn, and don't think I know the what, because I don't, and just try to be the best I can be every day. And it's paid off for me to this point.
Yeah. And coaching on all those levels, because I spent some time on the JV. I think you were even head coach at the JV at one point. I was calling plays.
After my first volunteer year, I was kind of just I guess Coach Black wanted to see, I was kind of just around.
Make sure you came back around.
Yeah, kind of help people. And then after, I started being the offense coordinator for JV, and I guess it was probably 5 or 6 seasons doing that, and then it became the head coach kind of deal. And so I've had a lot of different roles. I've coached a lot of positions at BHP.
Yeah.
So I kind of just, like I say, whatever I was needed to do, I wanted to be the best I could be. And then the last 2 years of me coaching JV, I was the JV head coach. First year, we kind of getting our feet wet, seeing what it was about. But the second year, we were able to win the region. That was a big memory, because those kids are now seniors. So I've been with them the whole time or whatever. So it's been good.
Looking back on it, you were on that leading edge of that when that JV program really started, almost as dominant as the varsity side. I think the last couple years lost maybe 2 games over that span or something like that.
Yeah, we got a good JV program, and that's again a testament to Coach Blackston. He puts time into that, because most schools, those kids are just going to be your scout team guys, and like you'll see them get on Thursday nights, and they'll be holding cards up, with what kids got to do. And Coach Blackston does a great job. He really does take pride in top to bottom, and that's to his credit. But yeah, I feel like we were cutting edge JV, because we were able to do some stuff, get into some different stuff, and play football. And we were blessed with talent for sure.
Nice. Well, looking back on that time when you played, what are maybe one of those things that stuck with you, maybe that Bear culture or something like that you've brought along with you in your coaching tenure?
Well, to be honest with you, Kayne, stuff that I don't even realize. Paying attention to the little things, showing up on time. I think that stuff, and you play for Coach Green, and I did too. That stuff was instilled, and like at the time you hated it, and there was consequences for it,
Mm-hmm.
But as you go older, it's like, well, I had to learn that from somewhere, and a lot of respect for Coach Green, because I felt like it was his program, and you either with it or you weren't going to be a part of it, no matter how good of a player you were. So I feel like that was a huge thing in molding me, because I talk about all the time, stuff that takes zero talent, showing up on time, and your attitude and your effort, that takes zero talent. And I think I learned that as a student at BHP, and especially as a player under Coach Green, because it was no nonsense. That was how he operated. At the time, you wouldn't back when I was in high school, you wouldn't have been able to tell me that. But like now, being around kids, and it's that kind of stuff. It matters. The little things matter, and I think that was a big thing I got. And it too is still a hard work mentality to me. Now, like I said, in high school, I wasn't the hardest worker. I'll be honest with you. Things I regret. But now, as I get older, I kind of see the, you're gonna get out of what you put into it, and that's something I learned in high school. So I
being on that side personally, on the closer side of the no talent, I was definitely one that had to put in the hard work. But I see that on both of those staffs, that Coach Green staff, it was not just the top guy. Same thing as with Coach Blass. It's not just him instilling that. It's the whole staff. When you think about under Coach Green, you had Coach Williams, Coach Blackston. It just throughout that whole thing, the hard nose to the grindstone mentality really resonates within a football team, but even in the Belton and Honey Path area, like kids who are going to come out, this is the kind of things that should resonate with those that type of group, I guess. So
100%. It's like our trademark kind of. If you're getting a BHP kid, you're getting a tough kid.
There you go. All right, let's talk about a little bit wide receiver, coaching wide receivers. This is something I exceeded the weight limit pretty early from ever being coached as a wide receiver. So these are things I would never know. But traditionally, BHP is a run first, power run offense throughout the last 2-3 decades. When people outside of the program talk about BHP, they talk about the run game and defense first.
Yes,
but
for sure.
Sprinkled through that, there's been years where the passing game's taken the forefront. I think this year we're going to see that. But what is the evolution of that when there are seasons like this where the passing game needs to step up? How does that differ, or how does the offense kind of retool in your eyes when that needs to happen?
Well, to be honest with you, Kayne, we're all on the same page as offensive staff. We believe in running the football, and if if we can do our job through the air, it makes us that much more difficult to defend because you can't be sound in the box and be sound outside at the same time. You only get 11 of them out there, and if we can do our part, it helps us out. Now we embrace the run game. I preach. We might throw the ball 15 times a night on a good night, and so if you get your chance, you better make the play. And then two, and I've told you before, if you don't block, you don't play. That's the standard for my group. And so that I preach that. And if you watch those guys, man, they take pride in it because it's who we are. But they also know that, hey, if MJ Earl is carrying the ball and I bust him for a big gain, then at some point he's going to be blocking for me as well. And they really embrace that. And, I started spring ball, maybe I kind of have to harp on it. But as we get into, deeper into the summer, deep into camp, and then into the season, like it's kind of like it becomes second nature because that's all they hear from me. And I don't preach like, I try to stay focused on the little things. I'll have a mantra that, every year I've had a different mantra kind of just within the receiver group that kind of I try to motivate them. And it's something, maybe it's something silly, and it may be something that they just kind of, won't think about right now, but maybe 10 years later they will. My first year, it was attitude and effort. You can always control those things. And this is kind of stuff that, and then two, last year, it was you got to control the input. We can't control anything but what we can control. And then this year is separate. So what's going to separate you from any other player? Because everybody's working hard. It's high. Everybody's playing football. What's going to separate you? And for us, I think it's the ability to know the system. And then when our time to make plays, let's go make them. And I think this year it's going to be, we're going to have to rely on the passing game some. And I feel confident in my guys because they've worked so hard. They have, and they're selfless. I mean, they're going to do exactly what they're asked to do. I don't really have to coach. Because I tell you, I don't coach effort. Like you're either you're gonna have effort or you're not gonna play. And I haven't. Sometimes they're skilled players that they're athletic. They're gonna get kind of that prima donna kind of attitude, but we'll have to reel them in. They love each other, and I think if you love each other, then you're gonna help your brother out, and because they're gonna help you out at some point too. That's kind of our philosophy, and I know I can talk all night, but that's kind of how we adopt it. We try to embrace it. Because if you don't embrace it, then you're not going to be all in for it anyway. So, and if you're not all in for BHP football to run football, then you probably don't need to go to BHP. I'm just being honest. I mean, that's what we're going to do, and it's won us a lot of football games, and we totally embrace it.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of your guys in a minute, but separation. What a accurate mantra for this year because you got some guys that can separate.
Yeah,
and when we talk about running downfield, but we'll talk about those guys in just a second.
For sure.
Talk to me a little bit about maybe some nuances of coaching of that wide receiver position, and even what's the biggest adjustment coming from those maybe ninth grade athletes, turning them in from just straight athletes to BHP receivers, route running, blocking, and that sort of thing.
Well, I guess the nuances, it really depends on, we go into a meeting on Sunday and, we kind of have an idea what kind of, what we're going to do secondary wise, what maybe looks we're going to see. So we'll work on that, are we going to be in zone coverage team, man coverage team, whatever we think we like. And that goes into the game plan for that week. So, if we think we need a lot of zone, we're going to work on this thing, man. And then that goes into how we practice, if we're seeing we're going to get, I'm going to work a lot of releases, off the line releases, hand fighting stuff to get off press. If we're playing zone, we're going to work on, where we're supposed to be and when we're supposed to be there. So it really depends on the opponent, but obviously, coaching wide receivers, they're going to catch the ball every day. They're going to, and this is just how we practice at BHP. They're going to catch the ball every day. They're going to run routes every day. They're going to block every day. And then we're going to have some type of ball security at least 3 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's kind of the, we'll do that. We'll do that during our individual when I just have them to myself, the blocking, the catching, and the ball security. Then we'll come together with Noah and we'll, work on whatever we're installing for that week or whatever, the looks we think we're going to get and what we think is going to work. So it's really a lot that goes into it. But I mean, as far as we're pretty detailed in that, this is what we're going to work on. And it's something different every day. We're not working on on Monday, we're not working on the same thing Monday as Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? We're kind of moving on, and then seeing what we're good at and getting into our game plan on Wednesday and kind of seeing like what we really like. And then as that, we'll carry that into the game. But it's really a game plan thing for us. But that's kind of, we're going to block every day. We're gonna make sure we protect the football every day, and we're going to catch the ball every day. I mean, obviously, as a wide receiver, you got to be able to catch it if you're not going to play. As far as like being the thing is, like I work at a middle school, and you can go out and we're having recess on Friday, and you can see, that they're out there catching the football. They all want to, trying to one hand. They all everybody wants to be that type. They want to make plays. The difference, is being, are you, at right depth on this route? Or, where's your break point at this route? Are we at 12 yards when we need to be at 9 yards, or vice versa? Knowing the situation, if it's 3rd and 15, then we probably need to, we got to get past the sticks. That's the thing that people don't understand. It's anybody, can catch a football and make plays. But if you can have a 40-inch vertical and can't get off a jam or run the wrong route, then you ain't doing me any good. So that's kind of the, anybody wants to be an athlete, and that's fine. We embrace that. You go be an athlete, you do it, but we gotta, it's a well-oiled machine. You got to be in the right place at the right time, or it's going to be a mess. And that would be, that's a challenge for some kids, because they just want to run and go. And there's time and places for that too. But the system, we got to be able to do things within the system.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, everybody on the playground's open and expect the ball.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Friday nights, there a few guys that might keep you from getting open, but
for sure.
Let's look at the receiver group you have this year. Personally, from the outside, one of the most high-end talented groups that I think BHP's maybe had in a long time. One, it's led by maybe the most talented wide receiver that we've had in the last maybe decade. I might can go that far back, maybe even further. But talk to me about that group of guys that you have on on that receiver group.
I got you. Yeah, I've been blessed. When you get kids who's talented, it makes you look like you know what you're doing, and you ain't got to do much. You just got to make sure that they know what to do, and that they'll take care of the rest. But starting with Tajay, he's special. He's a type kid that he works his tail off every day. You have to slow him down. He never takes a play off. He's always ready to work. He's always ready to be coached. He's kind of our leader. I mean, obviously kids are they're going to gravitate to talent, but I mean, we got a great group. I mean, you saw last in the scrimmages, and then last week, Jakari Anderson's got the ability to be just as good as any of them. Those two, we don't get a chance to work with them as much because they got to play defense too, but they do an unbelievable job of coming over because, at practice, they got to do both. Like they're practicing defense, practicing offense too. And it's kind of, they don't get that. I'm really truthfully, they get half the reps as the offense only guys. And so this is just a testament to their talent. Yeah. Tajay, in my opinion, when your best player is your best leader, then you got something special. Yes. And he's been off the top with that, off the chain. He's so good at what he does. And I could talk the whole show about him and his character, and not just him, the whole group. Yeah. What I think special about our group is we got Jaden. Our offense only guys are Jaden Glenn, Evan Gaines, Nicholas Paul, Rhett Turner. That's the ones who really hang our hat on. And the thing I like about it is Rhett's not going to try to be Tajay. I mean, it's just, Rhett, and then Jaden's not going to try to be Jakari. They all bring something a little different, and it kind of just gels together. Like they're not trying to do too much. We go into a game plan. They know what they're going, kind of what they're going to see. If we call this, then they're probably going to be in. But they all just kind of, as a group thing, like they're not trying to be anybody, that they're not. And that's been great for me to coach because I'm not trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Like there's some things that just like Jaden Glenn, like he's 6'4" and can go get it. Tajay's not that type kid. Tajay's gonna run right by you, but Jaden is more of a jump ball type kid, and that's something he's good at. So we embrace that. Akis kind of does a little bit of everything. He's the plug and play guy at multiple positions, and then like. I'm big on Evan Gaines. Evan Gaines is, and I told people have asked me all summer, and you saw Friday night, that kid can take the top off things. He's young, but he can go, and he's been getting better every day. He's been a blessing to coach. And then like Rhett knows his role. Like Rhett's gonna, he's he knows it just as good as I do. Like, I can call it, we can call it, and he knows what, if we go 2 wide receiver set, we go 3 wide receiver set, he knows what every one of them's got. So he's prepared. We can throw him in at any time. And, he obviously, he doesn't have the athletic ability of some of the other ones, but he's going to be right where he's supposed to be. He's going to be coachable, and he's going to do exactly what you tell him to. So you trust him. I trust that kid. So as a whole, I just think they mesh well together. Like, I'll be truthfully, like I was talking to Tajay today, and Jakari, every week I do like the same concept as how our defense does tackle points. I do the same thing for receivers, and each week has a winner in it, and I'll get him a Chick-fil-A gift card or something like that. Jakari won it last week for his game against Broome. I was talking to Tajay. I said, "Dang, man, you let Jakari win that thing." He said, "I'm happy you did, Coach." And he really means that, and it kind of works out that way. They're, like, if you watch on Friday nights when the kid makes a big play, they're all excited for each other because they know it's coming. They know it's coming, and I've just been so blessed to coach these because they've worked their tails off. Man, I'm just so blessed to be able to just be around them, just to soak it up because they give me so much energy, and I love it. I really do.
Yeah, speaking of Friday night, you're right. We saw that top end. We saw Jakari getting behind people and just walking away. That little nuance from Tajay where he uses his head to kind of make it look like he's running a post and he runs to go, that sort of thing. Evan Gaines jumped out for me.
Yes.
Just being able, that catch he made.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
On third down, what a big, huge play.
Huge.
Broome was starting to get some momentum. They just went and scored. They had backed us up, and we got that long play. And then he took the top off of it.
So the top
barely off. Just got swung around. I think it was more the momentum of the ball than him actually missing that second catch. And then I even saw in some of the scrimmages, he was doing the same thing against some of the guys you practice over the summer. Just one of those guys maybe come out of nowhere for BHP fans who aren't there every day, but just another speed guy. I think that's another thing that really hallmark for this Bear team is how much speed BHP is be able to put on the field at every single position. And if you think you can put Jakari and Tajay and Evan Gaines out there wide, there's not too many teams in the state that's going to be able to run with those fellas.
Yeah, and they're all Evan was a state qualifier in track as well. I think he was more of a 400 guy, whatever. You have to talk to Coach Lomax on the whole meter thing. I'm a little behind on that, but I know the kid can run. He's not, he's a long strider. It takes him a second to get going, but once he gets going, you don't realize it, and then you look up and he's 10 yards behind somebody. But he's the new, he played JV last year. He was a JV 10th grader. Nobody really knows about him, but he's embraced it, man, and he's done a great job. Very proud of Evan. Very proud of him.
And one good thing about that with both Evan and Jaden, the longer this season goes, the more experience they get under their belt, the just more plays that they're going to be able to make. So let's look at the guy throwing you guys the ball. Talk to us about that connection between Noah, both between Noah and Tajay, but Noah and your group as a whole, what a third-year starter does for this offense, a guy that hasn't gotten the accolades that Quez got because of what Quez did, but come the end of the year, if all goes to plan as we expect, Noah's going to be breaking as many records as Quez did. So talk to us about how that connection between your group and Noah is going to be like this year.
Well, there's no debate talking about my group if Seven's not on top of his game, because my kids can't get the ball without Seven. He drives the car. I mean, he's in complete control of the offense, and he knows it inside and out. And I remember when Noah's family moved to town, his dad became the pastor. He came, and it was like he just came to work first day, as an 8th grader. I remember, I'll never will forget. He just come to work out and start working. He didn't really know anybody. He kind of just jumped in there. And I know what the kid's made of. Like I say, I was the JV head coach his only year of JV, and we were able to have some success. And I feel like he's played 100 football games. I'm sure people that we play are ready for this kid to graduate. But I know what he's made of. He shows up every day, and he wants to get better, and he's able to take coaching. Sometimes, he wants coaching. He wants to be coached, and when he makes a mistake, he's going to own it. He's going to own it. Like I say, he whatever analogy you want to use, drive the car, stir the drink, whatever it might be, it's because of him, and he's been a blessing. He's been a blessing to be around because, he doesn't get big headed. He doesn't, he just handles his business. And to be a 3-year starter in high school football, especially at a place that has had some success like we have, that's something to say. And I mean, I don't know how many football games he ended up playing by the end of, I'm sure, you guys can help me out with the numbers. I mean, it's going to be up there as far as, number of starts and number of wins. And, hopefully we can keep winning. And if we keep winning, then I think it's going to take care of itself. I'm a huge Noah Thomas fan, but at the same time, but I also get in his ear when I think he needs to get in his ear, and he respects that, and he knows because I love him and I care about him. And Coach Jenkins does it, obviously Coach Jenkins does the coaching of him, but, Friday nights, Coach Jenkins up top, and I'm kind of extension through Coach Jenkins to Noah. So we're going to let him know because me and him both know the expectation of him. And it's not to be mediocre. That's not our expectation of him, but he's it. If the BHP offense it's him and it goes through him, and he's done a great job with it. He really has.
Yeah. And just think about his career and the receivers that he's hit in some of those big moments. You think about his sophomore year connecting on like a 70-yard, I think it was about 65-yard pass in the air against Powdersville. Yeah, and to Tay Paul, and then some of the passes that he's made, and then just personally, he has some of the prettiest deep balls. He can hit Tajay in stride, and it just seems like effortless. He takes that crow hop, and seems like he would out throw anybody else, but Tajay just walks up underneath it.
Yeah, Tajay's a track guy, so we tell him, you just go get it, babe. You leave it out there, and you let 5 do the rest. And I think we hit one against Palmetto last year in the playoffs, and I still don't know how he ran under it because, Noah uncorked it. But that's where we want it. I mean, we're calling that play. We're going to try to take a shot. We're going to try to take top off, and them two have, but they're good, whatever we call. This is effortless for them. Like they're on the same page. And I think it's because they spend so much time together, obviously, with football, but they both run track. They're on the 4x1 team together. They're in sync. And two, they both put the work in for it. They deserve it. They deserve it for sure.
Nice. All right. We got one more, and then we'll get a quick lightning round with you if you're good with that.
Yes, sir.
Yep. All right. So you mentioned about coaching at Anderson Cavaliers, but you've been while coaching at BHP, you've been to other places. You see other teams and maybe how they work and that sort of thing. What's something special about BHP as a football program, but also a community that makes it special about coaching at BHP?
Man, I could talk a whole podcast about this, so just cut me off when I need to stop. It's different. It's different at BHP. Our staff, just to start with our staff, Coach Blackson does an unbelievable job. He's hired some great people, and we're competitive. We're competitive. Like when we're practicing, we're trying to beat each other. Me and Coach Lomax is doing a one-on-one drill, and we're competing, and we're trying to beat the offense. They're trying to beat the defense. And Coach Lomax is amped up, and I'm amped up, and he's probably a little more amped up than I am sometimes. But at the same time, like iron sharpens iron, and we know on Friday nights that. And it even filters inside, our defensive line and offensive line. They're battling every day, and those, everybody is documented how good those cats can be. And our linebackers, running backs, same thing. It's like we embrace competition, but at the same time, we know like, hey, let's take care of our brother because on Friday night it's going to help us, and we're one team on Friday night. Our staff is great, and we've had 4 or 5 coaches win state championships in other sports, so they know what it looks like. They know what it takes to get there, and so it's kind of all that together, and we got something special. I really believe. Do we always see eye to eye? No, but at the same time, we're all in it for the best of what BHP football, and I think that's special. As far as everything else, with the community support, the stuff like that, I mean, it's second to none. And even when I did JV football, I always tell the kids like it's 4:00 on a Thursday afternoon, and you got somebody volunteering to come serve you pregame meal. Everybody doesn't have that, and it goes even further. Like you and your dad doing the great stuff that y'all do. Like y'all don't have to do that. I mean, you're doing it because you love BHP football, and it goes on and on and on. Keith Loudermilk helping us on Friday nights. He's been doing it for years. Like, does he have to do that? No, I mean, but he loves it. He's a Bear. Like, and that's, you don't have that anywhere in a community sport. Like when we go to somewhere, we got more Bear fans than the home team, and it don't matter where we play at. We could go to West Oak during,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not trying to, make light, but Hurricane Helene just hit, and we're there's Bear fans at West Oak. Like, that's, it's different. I just think that, that Bear Paw means a lot to a lot of people, including myself, and it's special. People don't understand it, and they don't really understand it until they see it. But it's special to be a BHP Bear in the community. And then, like, it filters into the kids. This group of kids we have is maybe one of the most fun groups I've ever been around. At my time at BHP, they're kidding around. The chemistry's great, and obviously adversity's going to hit at some point. And that's when we'll find a lot of true character. I understand that. But right now, it's just the vibe's good. They're hanging out. We going out to a JV game last Thursday night, and they're in the locker room doing the Remember the Titans dance. Like, I mean, just just stuff like that. It don't matter to them. They're just having fun in the moment. But as a coaching staff, we see, like, dang, these kids are, and I try to get involved with as many of them as I can. When the defensive linemen are walking out, I try to love on them. Just because that's really why we're in it. But it's ultimately for the kids, and I want them to know that, hey, Coach McClain cares about me, because I feel like once they know that, then they're gonna run through a brick wall for you, and then also it comes with he can get on my butt because he wants the best interest of me is what he's after. And these kids know I love them to death. I mean, this Thursday night they're coming over to my house and we're eating tacos. My wife, she's a superhero when it comes to that stuff. She's cooking tacos and we're gonna feed them. And I do it every year. I do it 2 or 3 times a year, not because I have to, because I want to. I really and truthfully, I want to be involved. I want to be around the kids, and I go to basketball games. I go to track meets. I go to baseball games. I'm invested in the community. I've always lived here, and I love it. And just something different about that Bear Paw. And if you ask anybody, that Bear Paw means something, and it's a special place. It really is. I could go on and on and on, but it really is a special place. And Coach Blackson, in my opinion, he's BHP football. We were talking Friday night, and this is a Bear stats. This is a Bear stats stat for you. There's only been 2 region championship teams that he hasn't been a part of in the history of BHP football.
Yeah.
And that was like, in the 60s and the 70s. So, like, I mean, you think about that. You think about all the region championships, all this, upper state championship and the state championship. That's Russell Blackson's been a part of it, and he's etched in the legacy there. And he's a Bear, and he understands what it means to be a Bear, and it kind of just bleeds. And then it gets into, we got coaches who went to school at BHP, and it just we got a good thing going, and I'm just lucky, so blessed and lucky to be a part of it. I really am. I don't take it for granted one bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned this when Andrew was on the podcast. You could, from the outside, I'm not there day to day. I see you guys on Friday, but I can tell on those Fridays, those former players come back. They're not reaching out to you. I see Coach Blackson meeting people at the gate, meeting people at the fence. He's there to really, and it's all the coaches. It's not just Coach Blackson, but all the coaches taking your time with each and every one of those guys that come back and just want to say hey or anything like that. It's so recognizable on Friday nights. And then with the community, I think those last 2 games of last year really showed what BHP football means to a lot of people. When you bring a couple thousand, or probably 4,000 to the coldest night of the year
ever. I think the coldest night in the history of ever.
and then another 4,000 or 5,000 make the trip down to Orangeburg and just showed out the way they did. I'm with you. It's something special. It means a lot to a lot of people.
It really is. It really does. And just like I say, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed with the opportunity to be a part of it. And it's something that, I wake up every morning and go to work knowing that I'm a BHP Bear, and it's been a blessing. It really has.
All right, let's go fast. Let's go Tajay fast. So I'll get you a lightning round.
We better speed it up a little bit there.
I got you 5 questions. Don't think too hard. They'll just come out fast, and let's see what we got.
Sounds
Your favorite receiver all time, college or NFL?
Oh man, I'm gonna go a little biased right here. I'm gonna go Clemson Tiger. I'm gonna go Sammy Watkins.
Let's cut this thing off now.
I know that's good for a Gamecock fan to hear, but Sammy Watkins was my. I love when he came to Clemson and he jumped off the scene. But I'm a little they're in that span. Nuke Hopkins, Sammy Watkins, all those cats. Hunter Renfro. Been a bunch of them that come to Clemson. And I just kind of gravitated to them, obviously, because being a Clemson fan.
I think it was just the hair.
Maybe so. Maybe so. That he gave him the introduction for sure. But definitely Sammy Watkins.
harder to coach, wide receiver blocking or wide receiver route running?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe it's route running because of like we talked about earlier, all the nuances. Like where's the depth curl route? Where are we trying to finish? Where's the depth come back? What are we trying to do? Because to me, blocking, yes, it requires a lot of technique, but to me, blocking's a want-to thing. You got to be able to want to get in there and mix it up with them. But the harder thing to coach is definitely route running, in my opinion.
Pre-game hype song, what you go to?
Oh, man, I still like to pride myself on being a young coach. So I'll be, ask the kids, we'll listen to this week, and they'll give me some stuff. It might be great, it might be horrible. I don't know, but I try to stay hip. I have a ritual. I do have a ritual. Bus rides, before the game, as far as hours before the game, I try to listen to something that's going to calm me down. And then as we get closer, I kind of change the tone a little bit. I go to with the new things that the kids tell me for the week. And then right before kickoff, I'm listening to something, some hardcore rock just to kind of get me fired up and ready to go. That's kind of like how my personal thing I do. And it's kind of worked because by the time kickoff, I'm ready to roll. It works for me.
Nice. All right. 3 words that describes this wide receiver group.
Oh man, that's a great question. I'm going to say selfless, hungry, and explosive.
There we go.
I'm going to say that because I feel like we embody all 3 of those. Like I say, if you don't block, you don't play. So if you're going to block, you're going to be selfless, and then hungry. I think we're tired of everybody saying, BHP is one-dimensional. I just really truthfully believe that. And I think we got that hungry, that chip on our shoulder. Like, let's show them. Yeah. Let's show them. We work hard too. We work just as hard in the passing game as we do the running game. And, I think that's where that comes from. And then explosive. We want to be explosive. We want to create big plays, and hopefully that success continues because I think we've done a pretty good job of it to this point.
Yeah. All right. Last one. Best memory from coaching at BHP.
Oh, man, another guy. You got some great questions, Kayne.
Hey, I'm not the top Belt and Honey Path football podcast for no reasons.
For sure. For me, I'm going to categorize this one because I've had so many great memories. And like I said, I've been at BHP for 11 years. But the past 2 playoff runs have really been my favorite memories of all time. If you go back to the Clinton game in 23 when every yard was just hard to come by, and it was just 2 old-fashioned high school football programs, high school football towns just going at it. And, and it was just unbelievable that we came out win that game and how we won it.
Is that where you saw Jakari? Is that where you saw Jakari that he needed to be a wide receiver?
Well, I've seen him every time I saw him touch the ball in defense, he takes it to the crib. We got to get the kid the ball in offense.
That's it.
That was special. So, absolutely. I'm like, how we get this kid the ball? We got to get this kid the ball. And then you go to Daniel, and we're about to kick that thing off at Daniel that night, and you look over, and it's I don't even know how many Bear fans there were that night, but you couldn't fit anybody else over there. And then fast forward, going into this year with all the pressure and stuff, the past year, the 24 season, I guess, 24 season, all the pressure, and everybody wanting to know everything about BHP football, and our kids were able to harness that and embrace that and keep still the job every week. And then you go to Orangeburg, and it's you got that, you got Oceanside over there, and then you got BHP, and it's you tell it means it's different, not knocking their program. They got a great program, but the support is unmatched. I mean, I even skipped past the MVP game, it's just, there's so many great memories, and the 2 I know that's my best memory is the back-to-back playoff runs. We played, I think we counted the other day, we played 9 football games in the playoffs, the postseason the past 2 years. That's almost a full season. So it's kind of like our seniors are redshirt seniors in a ways because they played another season.
Absolutely.
But it's just so special. And like I say, I'm so blessed. But if I had to categorize it, it was definitely the past two playoff runs have been special for me. Honorable mention, I was able to be on the same staff when my brother played there. So that was special for me. He was a 3-year starter for us, and that was kind of special for me too, to be kind of involved with him every day. But definitely, the past 2 years, it tops anything, just with the success and the support we've had.
Yeah, I think a lot of Bear fans will probably mention those 2, at least those 2 games when they're talking about most memorable BHP games, period. Doesn't matter.
It's a lot of fun.
Whatever decade. But well, Dalton, thank you so much. This was great to talk with you. We're so excited for both the Bears, but this wide receiver group. I think I've mentioned it tonight, but wrote about it. The things that this wide receiver group can do is something that we haven't seen a group be able to put all of this talent out there. Even Friday night, where we're doing those super wide Tennessee splits, haven't seen that at BHP before. And just putting these guys in positions to make plays, use their athletic ability is just great to see. We're so excited to see how it evolves throughout the year. We're excited to see maybe how long we get to play this year. So
let's hope we make another run at this thing.
Yep. Hopefully we'll be making that trip down to a little past Columbia.
It'd be a blessing.
About 3 more months.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
Well, Dalton, thank you so much, and we'll see you Friday. And go get them. And how about them Bears from you?
How about them Bears? Thanks, Kayne.
All right, Bear fans, let's preview this week's matchup as the BHP Bears take on the Greer Yellow Jackets. BHP opened the season against Broome last week with a 49-9 win over the Centurions. BHP opened up as fast as they ever have, scoring 4 touchdowns in the first quarter, actually scoring 4 touchdowns on the 8 offensive plays they ran in that first quarter against Broome. On defense, they really shut down that Broome offense, and from the get-go, BHP outmatched the Centurions. Last week, the Greer Yellow Jackets took on the Boiling Springs Bulldogs. Greer came up short, just barely short, in the matchup last week, getting the loss 23-18. Bowling Springs jumped out to a 23-0 halftime lead over Greer. The Yellow Jackets really clawed back, got within the 5 points. Even after their last touchdown with seconds to go, they got the onside kick, drove, and last play they came up, I think, on about the 20-yard line going in to score. Coming up just short. I think a lot of Greer fans would have thought if they had another 30 seconds, the outcome may have been a little different. Leading the team for Greer is a sophomore quarterback, Austin Fowler. He led the Yellow Jackets in both passing and rushing yards last week. He completed 16 passes for 187 yards, and then he also had 14 carries for 59 yards on the ground. So even being a sophomore, a first-year starter for the Yellow Jackets, look for Dawson to be one of the top playmakers for Greer coming into this game. Leading their way on the receiving side, Tucker Hudson led the way with 5 catches for 83 yards. So that will be another target that BHP will have to face coming in this week. For BHP, defensively, they have to be opportunistic. Greer and Fowler threw 3 interceptions last Friday night. BHP has to be able to, one, get pressure on Fowler, not let him escape the pocket, but collapse it and force some negative plays that way, but also force this young play caller into some errant throws, and hopefully that BHP back end of the defense will be able to capitalize on. With that, I know historically Greer likes to use that spread type of offense to run their power offense. So they were very pass heavy last Friday night, but I can definitely see them wanting to get back, alleviate some of that pressure off of that young quarterback, and try to focus more on that run offense. And that will be a focal point for the Bears, both on the defensive line side and the linebackers. We'll need another great performance by both Ty DeBose and Jakari Anderson, led the team in defensive points last week. And then also up front, the 4 stalwarts of Kamarion Glenn, Keelan Dixon, Kanaza Bryant, and Ty DeBose will play a big role against the Yellow Jackets this Friday night. Offensively, we want to see that same explosiveness as we saw last week. Tajay Watson-Martin had a long touchdown reception. Jakari Anderson took a slant post the distance for, I think, over 50 yards. MJ Earl took a pop pass, jet pass on the first offensive play of the game for over 50 yards. All those explosive plays, we want to see that again Friday night. We also want to see being able to close out the game. This Greer team, they were able to claw back from a pretty big halftime deficit last week against Bowling Springs. We want to jump out early, get that lead, but also be able to really grind it out and not allow Greer to claw back into that as the Bears host the Yellow Jackets. But with that, we got 5 quick stats that we'll go over. If you want to see more, if you want to read more about the the game last Friday against Broome, or a complete preview of what we see coming up against Greer, or all 15 quick stats, or even my prediction for the game, go to thembears.com and look for the Bear Tracks post there or on any of our social media posts. But here are 5 quick facts that will get you ready for the game Friday night. BHP is 7-5 all time against Greer, and under Coach Blackston, BHP is 3-1 against the Yellow Jackets. BHP held Broome to 1 of 10 on third down conversions and 1 of 4 on fourth down conversions last Friday night. BHP was penalized 111 times last Friday night against Broome. That was the 14th time BHP has been penalized by 100 yards or more since 2020. With the shutout of 3 separate quarters against Broome, BHP now has not given up a point in 100 separate quarters going back to 2020. And then lastly, since 2014, BHP has had a 200-yard passer only 17 times. Noah now has done it 3 times. Noah really showed out through the air, and his playmakers, his wide receivers, made some big plays for him last Friday night, and he became just the performance of going over 200 passing yards in a game since 2014. But with that, the Bears will host Greer this Friday night in the season opener, the home opener for the Bears. I think there's maybe some special things going on this Friday night, so all Bear fans, we want you to be there and be loud for the Bears. We know it will be an exciting time to open at home, and another quality opponent for the Bears, a 4A team who last year started 0-3 and then rattled off 5 straight, won 5 of their last 7 games. So this team really can turn it on. They have a lot of talent. They graduated a lot of talent last year, but this Greer team is a historical program, and it will be great for the Bears to get on the field and show the Bear fans at home what this season is going to look like as we get started again. So with that, we thank you, Bear fans, for being with us on this episode of the Bear Rumble podcast. We ask that you subscribe, tell any friends that you would have about the podcast. Also, follow us on thembears.com. That's where you'll find all BHP stats, both records and the current season. We also have a weekly Bear Tracks blog post that goes over previews of the upcoming games, reviews of the previous games, and I even throw in some quick stats, some deep dives for you in there as well. Follow us on social media accounts on Facebook and Twitter. On Facebook, we'll have the final score and leading stat getters. And then we'll also have on Twitter, on X, we'll be live tweeting the games with the highlight scores and highlight plays during the game on Friday night if you can't be there. But we want all Bear fans to be there Friday night. And with that, once again, let's sign off with How About Them Bears?